The hidden cost of buying a house in Queensland, 2026 buyer reality check. All right, you found the house, the agent has accepted your offer, you're already imagining hanging the art over the fireplace. Now is the moment to do the maths on what you'll actually need to settle beyond the purchase price, because the gap between $650,000 purchase and $685,000 walk-in actual price is bigger than most first home buyers realise. Here's the 2026 Queensland reality line by line. Guys, the quick numbers. On a $650,000 Queensland residential purchase, no first home concession, expect to spend roughly stamp duty, $22,200. Conveyancing fees, $2,500. Building and pest, $700. Loan establishment and valuation fees, $1,000 to $2,000. Optional title insurance, $700. Insurance for your first year of home and contents, $1,800 to $3,000. PEXA settlement and registration of title, $250, and move-in costs, so utilities, removalists, etc., $1,500 to $3,500. What does that all add up to beyond the purchase price? Anywhere from $30,000 to $34,000. That's an extra 5% approximately that nobody talks about until you're locked in. All right, the big four, costs you can't avoid. Number one, transfer duty, the killer. This is almost always the biggest extra cost. On a $650,000 Queensland home with no concession, the duty payable is $22,200. With the first home buyer concession, it could be zero if you're under the threshold. With the home concession for owner-occupiers who aren't first home buyers, it's reduced from the standard rate. Run your own numbers, guys. We've got a Queensland stamp duty calculator, links in the blog. Next, conveyancing, your law firm. Pricing at Empire Legal is currently $2,500 for residential purchases as at June 2026, all inclusive of professional fees, standard searches, and pre-contract advices. Cheaper firms exist, so do more expensive firms that charge over $3,000 or $4,000. Cheap conveyancing usually means an offshore call centre, a sliding scale of add-ons, and surprises at settlement. You can see our pricing page for the full breakdown transparently. Next, building and pest inspection, number 3. Skip this and you're betting your deposit. Spend $500 to $800 for a comprehensive inspection, especially for Queenslanders, which are timber homes, properties over 30 years old. Consider also a separate structural engineering review, which should cost you under $1,000 extra for peace of mind of what you're buying. When you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, it makes sense. And number 4, loan and establishment fees. So, lender specific, major banks charge $300 to $800 for establishment fees, plus another $200 to $400 for the lender's valuation. Brokers may absorb some of this cost, so you need to make sure you read your loan carefully for what you're being charged. Now, costs people don't budget for, but really should. All right, next, home and contents insurance. Guys, this one is effective from the day after the contract date if you're a buyer in Queensland. You need this from the moment you sign the contract. Most insurers want a settlement date certificate of currency to issue cover, which they'll do based on a quote that you accept and pay well before settlement. All right, now what does this cost, guys? Well, it varies on whether you've got a house, a unit, if you're in a flood affected zone, if you're by the coast, if you're in bushfire zone, all sorts of stuff. Could be under $1,000, could be above $5,000. It really depends. Insurance is one of the biggest ongoing costs of home ownership in Queensland. Next, you've got PEXA and title registration. So we're talking circa $150 to $250 for the fees with PEXA and titles registration. These are passed through as costs for your conveyancing, not part of the law firm's fees. Now, next, a quick one, title insurance. Optional, but usually worth it. Title insurance protects you against post-settlement issues with the title. So undisclosed easements, boundary disputes, undisclosed planning notices. This one usually works on the purchase price. So for a $650,000 property, it should cost around $650 as a one-time premium. Most buyers skip it. We'd recommend it for any property with even slight title complexity, older homes, sloping block, boundary disputes, etc. And lastly, pre-purchase inspections beyond building and pest. So for specific concerns, we're talking asbestos for older homes, pool safety inspections, survey or boundary checks, structural engineers, environmental contamination, all the stuff you need to consider and the extra costs. Now, move-in costs. These don't go through conveyancing, but they hit your bank account the same week. Removalists could be $1,000, could be $3,000, depending on the size of your home and beyond. You've then got utility connections, so electricity, water, gas. You need to consider all of this stuff, guys. If you're getting your locks rekeyed, that's hundreds of dollars. Rates and water prorated at settlement, that's hundreds of dollars more. Bond cleaning if you have to exit a rental or if you need a bond clean on the way in. And of course, your first mortgage payment. All of this stuff adds up. We're talking, could be a couple of grand, could be over $5,000. Next, ongoing annual cost. So not strictly buying costs, but you need to understand that you've got council rates. Could be $1,500 a year, could be $4,000 a year, depending on your suburb and your property. You've also got a budget for your home and contents, like we said, your water and sewerage, land tax if you have an investment property. So as a rule of thumb, they say you should really budget 1% of the property value per year. Now, costs you might be able to recover. So first home buyer's concession, that could save you $24,000. First home owner's grant is currently $30,000 for new homes built under $750K. At the time of recording, that's dropping back to $15,000 from the 1st of July this year, 2026. All right, what does this all mean? The bottom line, on a $650,000 purchase, you could have $30,000 to $35,000 roughly in extra costs that you need as part of the settlement, which is quite a lot of extra money, guys. So how do we deal with this? You really need 3 buckets. So bucket 1 is your cash at settlement. So your deposit plus extras that you need ready to go for settlement. Bucket 2 is cash for the first 90 days after settlement. So moving costs, utilities, first mortgage payment, any urgent repairs, rectification, pool safety certificates, if that's something you need to fix. And then bucket 3 is buffering for the unexpected. So, dishwasher dying, leaky roof, all this sort of stuff, bit of a rainy day fund. Okay, how does Empire Legal help? When you engage Empire Legal for your purchase, we give you a full settlement statement showing every dollar going out and exactly where it's going. We calculate your transfer duty and do the relevant forms with you, including any concessions. We confirm PEXA, so your registration title, and take care of all of that online. And of course, all your settlement day costs in writing. We'll flag any costly surprises during the contract review. So if we see any special levies for the body corporate, lucky for you, all of our pricing is transparently available online. We don't do plus or sneaky extras after. You know what you're in for up front. Guys, for a tailored quote, you can just jump on our website and have a look at the pricing. And yeah, if you're ready to get started, give us a call today. What are your thoughts, guys, on these extra costs? Was it something you were thinking about or knew about? There's quite a lot to consider. Leave a comment if there's any extra costs I might not have spoken about today that you've noticed. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep in mind that all advice is general in nature and does not constitute legal advice. This is authorised by George Souris, Empire Legal, Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia.